Let's talk about the racist bigots. A racist bigot is someone who has prejudiced or intolerant views about a particular race or other group of people. This prejudice can be expressed in many different ways, including through words, actions, or even just in the way someone thinks about a particular group. Racism has a long and complex history dating back to the very beginnings of human civilization. Some of the earliest examples of racism can be found in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. In these societies, people often believed that their own race was superior to all others. This belief led to widespread discrimination and violence against people of other races. Racism continued to be a major problem throughout the Middle Ages and Renaissance. During this time, European colonialism led to the enslavement and exploitation of millions of people from Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Racism was also used to justify the subjugation of Native Americans and other indigenous people. In the 18th and 19th century, racism reached new heights with the rise of transatlantic slave trade and the development of scientific racism. Scientific racism was a pseudoscience that attempted to justify racism by claiming that certain races were biologically inferior to others. This pseudoscience was used to justify slavery, segregation, and other forms of racial discrimination. In the 20th century, racism continued to be a major problem around the world. The Holocaust was one of the most horrific examples of racism in history. During the Holocaust, the Nazi regime murdered millions of Jews, Roma, and other groups of people simply because of their race or ethnicity. Racism also played a major role in the civil rights movement in the United States. African Americans struggled for decades to end segregation and discrimination. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement achieved significant victories, but racism remains a problem in the United States to this day. Racism has a devastating impact on individuals, families, and communities. People who are targeted by racism often experience discrimination, harassment, and even violence. This can lead to a variety of negative consequences, including physical and mental health problems, educational and economic disadvantages, and social isolation. Racism also has a negative impact on society as a whole. It undermines social cohesion, promotes inequality, and fuels conflict. Racism can also lead to human rights abuses and even genocide. Examples of racist bigotry. There are many different examples of racist bigotry. Some common examples include racial slurs and insults. Using racial slurs and insults to degrade or humiliate people of other races. Racial stereotypes, making generations about people based on their race, such as saying that all black people are criminals or that all Asians are good at math. Racial profiling, discriminating against people based on their race or ethnicity, such as stopping black people for traffic stops more often than white people. Racial segregation, separating people based on their race or ethnicity, such as having separate schools or restaurants for black people and white people, racial violence. Any violence that is motivated by racism, such as hate crimes or police brutality against people of color. How to combat racist bigotry? There are many things that individuals and societies can do to combat racist bigotry. Some important steps include educating people about racism, promoting diversity and inclusion, challenging racism when we see it, supporting anti-racism organizations. Likewise, there is a recent incident happened in US. A Arabic restaurant in US refuses to serve cops in uniform faces fury. An Arabic restaurant in Michigan has sparked outrage after refusing to serve police officers in uniform. The restaurant's owner, who has not been identified, said that he does not want to serve police officers because they represent a system that is oppressive to minorities. The restaurant's policy was first brought to light by the Michigan State Police Officers Association, which posted a statement on its Facebook page on August 24, 2023. The statement said that the Michigan State Police Officers Organization was disappointed by the restaurant's policy that it discriminates against police officers and their families. MSPOA's statement has been shared over 3,000 times and has generated hundreds of comments. Many people have condemned the restaurant's policy as discriminatory and unfair. Others have defended the restaurant's right to refuse service to anyone it chooses. The restaurant's owner has defended his policy in an interview with a local news station. He said that he has been harassed and threatened by police officers in the past, and that he does not feel comfortable serving them. He also said that he believes that the police system is oppressive to minorities. The restaurant's policy has sparked a wider debate about the relationship between police and minority communities in the United States. Some people argue that restaurant's policy is a justified response to police brutality and discrimination against minorities. Others argue that the policy is discriminatory and unfair to all police officers regardless of their race or ethnicity. The restaurant's policy has also raised legal questions. Some legal experts argue that the policy may violate state or federal anti-discrimination laws. Others argue that the restaurant has the right to refuse service to anyone it chooses, as long as the refusal is not based on protected characteristics such as race, religion, or national origin. The controversy over the restaurant's policy is likely to continue. It is a complex issue that raises important questions about race, policing, and discrimination. Implications of the restaurant's policy. The restaurant's policy has a number of potential implications. First, it could lead to increased tensions between police and minority groups or communities. The policy could be seen as a sign of distrust and hostility towards police officers. This could make it more difficult for police officers to build relationships with minority communities and to enforce the law fairly. Second, the policy could discourage police officers from patronizing businesses in the area where the restaurant is located. This could have a negative impact on the local economy. Third, the policy could lead to legal challenges if the policy found to violate state or federal anti-discrimination laws, the restaurant could be sued. The decision of whether or not to serve police officers is a complex one. There are valid arguments on both sides of the issue. Ultimately, each business must decide for itself what it believes is the right thing to do. It is important to note that restaurants policy is not representative of all Arabic restaurants in the United States. The vast majority of Arabic restaurants serve police officers and other customers without discrimination.